Of Scoreline with some boxing action, and 13 boxers have been selected to take part in the African Boxing Championships, or rather for the qualifiers for Tokyo 2020. And the team captain, that is Nick Okoth, says he expects the team that has been selected to be on their best in Dakar, Senegal.
Matarajio yangu ni kwenda huko Senegal. Tumekuwa na training program nzuri na makocha hapa, na matarajio yangu ni kwenda huko Senegal na kuweza kushinda medal na kuweza qualify katika mchezo wa Olimpiki.
So far training iko poa, so matarajio yangu ni kwamba niweze qualify. So nafanya the best I can, nafanya bidii zaidi niweze kupata hiyo tikiti.
Kulingana na mazoezi yangu this time, naona mpaka sasa hii ni game nataka tu, naona ni game nataka.
Wamekuwa what I would say neck to neck katika mazoezi, na tumeanza kuangalia kuanzia kwa league hadi tulipoanza mazoezi non-residential na hii residential.
The Heat squad giving us what they expect in the Tokyo 2020 qualifiers that will be going down in Dakar, Senegal. So I want to take a quick look at the team that was selected to represent Kenya in the qualifiers. And of course, before we do that, joining me in studio is the Boxing Association of Kenya Communications Secretary, that is Sugar Ray Duncan Kariuki. Good afternoon, Sugar Ray.
Duncan Kuria.
Duncan Kuria. Sorry, not Kariuki. Duncan Kuria.
Good afternoon to you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Of course, he says if you want me to listen, talk about boxing, right?
Yes.
That's what we want to do. So before we get into this conversation, I want us to run quickly through the Heat squad team that was selected to do duty for Kenya in the qualifiers. Of course, in the men, in the middleweight, we have Rayton Okwiri. Remember, it was in the last Olympics that was in Rio. We do have Humphrey Ochieng. That is in the light heavy. We do have Eli Ajowi in the heavyweight category. We do have Fred Ramogi in the super heavy category. Let's take a look at the other men that have been selected to represent the Heat squad in the Olympic qualifiers team for Africa. Remember, these are some of the men that have been selected in this group: Rayton Okwiri, Humphrey Ochieng, Eli Ajowi, Fred Ramogi. So we take a look at the other men that have been selected. We have Shafi Bakari. We do have Nick Okoth, who was given the armband, and we do have Joseph Shigali and Boniface Mogunde. Those are the men that have been selected to represent Kenya in the Heat squad. Let's take a look at the women that will be in action before taking a look at the officials. We take a look at the women that have been selected in the Heat squad Olympic qualifiers. Remember, they are being led by Elizabeth Ndiega, who will be taking part in a second Olympics. Remember, she will be taking part in a second Olympics. So she leads that group, and also she deputizes Nick Okoth, who is the captain. And also we do have the officials who are in this we do have the officials who are in this squad. We do have the head coach, that is Benjamin Musa, deputy coach David Munue, and the team manager Crispin Onyango. So the 13 boxers will be in action for Kenya in the qualifiers for Tokyo 2020, and these are the officials that will be accompanying them. So we want to get into this conversation about what to expect from the Olympic qualifiers. And of course, with me is Duncan Kuria, Sugar Ray, as he's popularly known. We want to begin this conversation. First of all, Sugar Ray, this time the camp was not in Nairobi. You decided that as a back, you decided that, you know what, let's not have this camp in Nairobi, let's take it where?
Nanyuki.
Nanyuki. Why?
First, maybe I can make a correction.
Yes.
The camp started in Nairobi. We had a non-residential training camp
in Mathare.
In Mathare Police Depot for 24 days.
And then later we went to Nanyuki for 16 days. So it has been Nairobi and Nanyuki. We chose Nanyuki because it's a high altitude area. So we thought if we take our boxers there, they'll be able to train in very good weather, and it's heavy air, and we think they'll get an advantage out of that because when they go to Dakar, which is a coastal city, the air there is light, so they'll not be tiring as quick.
Yes.
And also, it was also important for them to be away from where there's a lot of distraction when you are closer to your families and you are not in a residential camp. You keep going home after every training session. Sometimes you get disruption, maybe a kid is sick, you need to take them to hospital. Sometimes work engagement, you are called at work. But when you're far in Nanyuki, people are focused. They were to remain there within controlled environment. You wake up in the morning, you go for your morning run. At 9 to noon, it's a training session. Then you go for your lunch. At 4, from 4 to about 7, it's sparring.
Yes.
Which was very intense. So the guys are physically fit and ready to go and represent this country very effectively.
This compared to previous years, this type of training has been totally different.
Yes.
And I mean, when you take a look at you guys deciding to have these boxers in camp away from Nairobi. Of course, they started Nairobi, then 16 days out of Nairobi. What does that mean about the seriousness of these qualifiers and how serious that BAC is taking them is taking these qualifiers to be?
Maybe I also want to correct you again. You are no longer called BAC.
Yes.
Nowadays you are called Boxing Federation of Kenya.
Yes.
BFK.
BFK.
Yes. BAC was the previous regime, but now we are compliant with the Sports Act.
Yes.
We decided to change it. We took it very seriously that historically, Kenya has never failed to be represented in boxing at the Olympic. But as a country or as a federation, we thought it's very important that we start our preparation early enough so that we are able to give our boxers good chance of getting the few tickets that have been allocated to the continent. And that's why I think it's only honorable I be able to appreciate our president, Mr. Anthony Otieno Jamal, because he's the one who funded the residential training camp and the non-residential training camp.
Yes.
Otherwise, if we were to wait to get the resources from the government, we might have started training very late, and therefore team will not be properly trained or be ready to go and compete for the few slots. But Jamal went out of his way. He was able to facilitate both camps, which we appreciate. Though the government also needs to be commended. They have been able to facilitate us because we are to travel tomorrow. And specifically, the CS, Madam Ambassador Amina Mohammed, and the Principal Secretary, Mr. Joe Okudo. And there are 2 officers, I think one called Margaret Gatti and one of official called John Waweru. They've worked very tirelessly to ensure that we are able to get the necessary facilitation to be able to go and compete for these games. But in terms of camping, it was so important that we start early preparation because we didn't have much time. We had a selection which we did in November. Then, of course, we went for the festive season. We were not able to be in camp in the period or in the festive period of December. So we thought early January we had to start, but with government bureaucracy, sometimes getting resources is difficult. So Jamal went out of his way and was able to provide the necessary facilitation for the team to start camping. And when you're camping, there are people we are calling to the national team from across the country. The others were coming from Kisumu, others from Mombasa. And when they come for a non-residential training camp in Nairobi where they don't have their families, they have to stay somewhere in a hotel, they have to feed, and they have to practice. So we had to take all those into consideration. But all in all, I think the most important bit was to prepare, to start early preparation, and to make sure that the team is in the best condition to be able to go and compete for the few slots that are available for the continent. And in this case, you might you know, the slots that have been allocated for the African continent is 37 slots only.
So 53 countries.
53 countries are going to compete for
37 slots.
37 slots, which is 22 for men and 15 for women. So you can imagine if the entire continent is going to, maybe in men, the entire continent is going to compete for 22 slots. And us, we are taking, the full team for us is eight men. So these 8 men are going to compete for the 22 slots, which the entire Africa is also competing for the same. So you can see it's going to be very competitive. And all the reason why people need to be in the best physical condition to go and win, and not just physical. You know, they have also to be psychologically, physically, spiritually ready.
Before we move away from this, you know, and take a look at what to expect. Earlier on in the week, you know, some of the boxers said that this year, this type of you know, residential training is one that they've never experienced before.
Yeah.
You know, it's their first time that they're, you know, enjoying such a residential training for them, and they feel that, you know, if this happens, it's a motivation for them, and if this continues happening, you know, probably we might see Kenya, you know, going further in the Olympics. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I've also been in camp with them, so I can tell you the morale in the team is at all-time high. The spirits in the camp was very high. I think they feel, even the ones who are aging, who are nearing 40 years, you know, they are wishing that they were much younger so that they have more time to box in this environment, because the new federation has provided them with a very conducive environment for them to participate in the sport that they love, which is boxing. And we have ensured that they have everything they require, because when you are there in camp, at least your mind is settled. Your family, you don't get called every now and then from your families telling you they don't have 1, 2, 3, because we are able to facilitate them, and whatever we give them, they are able to facilitate their respective families. So I'm thinking that environment that we have created for the team is what has necessitated the boxers to also show that they have that commitment, and they think that now they are in a better condition to be able to represent the country and go out there and win medals. And we showed that when we went for the All African Games, and we were able to get 5 medals within a very short time, because when we were going for the Africa Games, I think we trained for about 37 days. And we competed very effectively, among the best in the continent. So I'm thinking the environment that we have created is one of the conditions that is making the boxers to say that, and also the coaching at the camp.
It's different.
The coaching is very different. It's very technical. It's very consultative. It's not dictatorial like some of them were telling us that before it used to be like a military camp where you're suffering throughout. But this time they're enjoying their training, and even experienced boxers like Rayton Okwiri are telling us this is the best preparation they have ever had in their boxing career. That tells you something, because this is somebody who has represented the country even at the Olympic level, and now he's telling us that this time he's more prepared than ever to go out there and represent the country. So we are happy. The team is giving us very high hopes. They are promising us to go out there and give their best. And I believe they are going there and the result will be good. When we come back here, we'll be speaking a different story.
Of course, speaking about a different story, that is Sugar Ray saying that if you want to talk to me, talk about boxing. We took a short break. When we come back, Sugar Ray will be taking us through the 13 boxers that have been selected to do duty in the African Tokyo 2020 qualifiers that will be taking place in Dakar, Senegal, and why they settled for the 13, and why the Boxing Federation of Kenya feels that this year they will have more representation in the Olympics. That will be after the break.